My dear brothers and sisters, I am actually very much thrilled today on what exactly the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is doing in our time. And sometimes it is always sad, like after all what the church is actually doing, and at times it's very sad for you to see actually members of the church, the way they are being affected in different areas. And there was a time when a tornado actually really hit, I think it was 11 years ago, whereby tornado really struck in some of the areas, and mostly the most heated areas in the US was actually Texas City. I think Texas, the state of Texas, that was the most heat place of tornado. And I think such a like hurricanes have always been happening, especially in Texas. I do not know why, but they do happen a lot in Texas, those hurricanes and all that. And the one that happened 11 years ago, I don't know, but I'm made to understand that a lot of our members were really affected, and the church was very much overwhelmed, in doing a lot of things to help members actually get back to their feet, and also to be able to ensure that members are well protected, giving them prior warnings before the tornado actually really happened. And I would like us just to look at one of the things that really happened during this time, which is very significant. Very significant. And there are a lot of lessons we can learn as Latter-day Saints all over the world in matters to do with personal and family preparedness. And without further ado, let me just invite you so that we can also see what exactly these saints really did. Please welcome.
When a powerful Category 5 tornado hit the Moore, Oklahoma area in May, houses were destroyed and livelihoods threatened.
If the cattle eat the insulation, they can very well die real quickly on it.
Mark and Karen own several dozen head of cattle on an 80-acre piece of land that got peppered with debris from the tornado's fallout.
Cattle eat the grass, and when the insulation and stuff goes down on the ground with the shingles and the little shiny stuff that was debris in the air, like the taped cassette decks and stuff, the glass, that's a big concern.
To add to Mark's concern, Mark works for the Oklahoma Gas and Electric Company. When disasters strike and power goes out, he puts personal needs on hold to serve his community.
He usually leaves about 5 in the morning and comes home 9 o'clock, and it's day after day.
Leaving an overwhelming job for Karen to face alone.
I was basically in charge of picking up all the debris and taking care of the animals and making sure, no one was hurt.
Mark and Karen needed help. The cleanup had to be done quickly for the safety of the cattle, so they reached out, not hopeful anyone would respond to their plea with so many others suffering.
I was like, the Army's here, the Army in the yellow shirts.
About 4 dozen missionary volunteers from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints wearing Mormon Helping Hands t-shirts answered their call.
We are called to come for 2 years or 18 months and represent Christ and share the gospel with everyone. But I've also seen how serving them and helping them do whatever they ask can really lift someone's spirit, and we can minister to them.
Not long after the Mormon missionaries arrived, members from another Christian faith, the Journey Church, joined in.
We're here to serve these people. There's no ulterior motive other than to show them that we love them, we care about them, we're praying for them. And there are churches of all denominations and different belief organizations coming up for a greater cause than any one of us.
The two groups worked side by side for hours to complete a common goal, the painstaking task of removing harmful fragments from acres of pastures, and in turn, safeguarding Mark and Karen's livestock.
I really appreciate it. It's just a relief off our shoulders because there's no way we could ever have done it by ourselves.
Sure, I can imagine. This thing is very deadly. The tornadoes are very deadly, even though in Africa, Kenya, we've never experienced something like that. But at times when you look at the news, you see what people go through outside there. It's actually very dangerous, and at times I've always been thinking that if something like that really happens in our country, man, everybody will die. Everybody will die. You know why? Look at how things are actually arranged, And sometimes I'm always very sad, and that's why we always say that if you want to see the face of God, if you want to see God, just come to Africa. This is where God is, because the way we live by faith, and we do not worry about tomorrow. We don't worry about tomorrow. If anything comes, then we know that is it. But we live by faith. And that is what it is here, That is how it is here. You find people are struggling with housing. There are people who are struggling with food. There are those who are struggling with jobs. There are those who are struggling how to raise their young ones, struggling to take your kids to school. And you find that these things, these are things that if you are not, you're not actually really pushing yourself to work, you will die out of starvation. You will die out of starvation. You will die out of pneumonia. You will not have a house. You will die of, and nobody gives a damn. Nobody. But at the end of it all, your government continues just taking taxes. They take taxes from you, but you don't see the returns. You don't see the services they offer you. And that's why I say, if something like this will have happened, and this is Texas, and this is something that always happens in Texas. It's a natural phenomena, It's a natural phenomena. But these people are well, they're well prepared for it. And I think there's a lot of, capacity building, or mobilization, or maybe awareness on how people are supposed to conduct themselves and how things are supposed to be done, and I can imagine if a hurricane like this comes and it finds somebody who doesn't have shelter, somebody is homeless, I wonder how they will survive. I wonder how they will survive. But one thing that is really striking me there is that when the missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, once they realize that every time after the hurricane, there is always a need for them, for the farmers there and for, to clear up their pastures, for their flocks to be safe. And they actually hit the call. They actually hit the call. And this sister who was being helped was not necessarily a member of the church, but missionaries just decided to go and assist. And that is how, as Latter-day Saints, that is how we are. That is how we are, helping hand. That's how we are. We like offering services to other people, lightening, lifting up their burdens and all that. That is how it is all over the world. That is how it is. Even in Kenya here, that is how our saints are. We would like to show, offer service to people. But at times you don't understand why, the way people will react to you. That even when you want to give them a service, they are like, you go to that church? No. There was one time I saw a lady, and it was very late in the evening, and she was driving, and it so happened that her tire got a puncture. So she was just beside of the road. And as for me, during that time, I didn't have transportation, so I was walking all the way from town to my place where I was staying, a place called Westlands. So I was walking. It's about 5 hours walk. About 5 hours walk. It's not a small place. So as I was walking, I saw this small Vitz car just beside the road. And the lady was standing outside, kind of like she was trying to look for help. And it seems like the cars she was trying to stop, people were not stopping because it was also getting late. So what I went there, I just went there just like members of the church, as always, what they will do. I tried to find out from her, because most of the time when you speak a little English, they will think you are actually an enlightened person. But if you speak Swahili, they will think most of the people here, I do not understand why, but they will think you are a robber when you speak to them in Swahili. But when you speak to them in English, they will feel like, okay, this is a person we can relate with, is a person who is decent. So I just talked. The way I was dressed, I was shabby. I was just very shabby because I'd come from doing my manual work. But I spoke to her in English. And she was like, yeah, I have a flat tire. And I requested her if I could help her fix her flat tire. And she started asking me if I'm a mechanic or whatever and all that. And I told her, no, I'm not a mechanic, but fixing a tire, I've done it before because I've always been fixing these things. Whenever I see, my boss goes through these flat tires and always fix them. You don't have to be necessarily a mechanic for you to fix a flat tire for somebody. And she looked at me and she was very resistant. She did not want me even to, do anything for her. I felt very bad. I felt very bad. And as I was walking now going, after she had denied my offer, and then all of a sudden I saw another car coming. She stopped that car and I think it was an Uber car. And the guy came out of the car and offered to assist him too, to assist the lady too. So as he was offering, it so happened that the guy also needed some help on how to fix that tire. So he ended up calling me because I had not reached far. So he ended up calling me and he told me, can you help me? We fix the tire. So when I started now helping the guy, the lady felt so, embarrassed because she did, at first she didn't want me to help her, And these are some of the things we go through. Sometimes you'll want to offer service to someone, but they will deny it. But happy are those who will always accept when somebody extends a hand of service to them and appreciates, the services that are actually given to them. And that is one of the greatest thing, my dear brothers and sisters. And from this video, I'm learning something there, that as members, we are always supposed to extend a hand of service to those that are in need. Don't see somebody needs your help and you just, assume and you move, and this is somebody that is actually seriously in need of your help. Don't neglect a hand that really needs help. You need actually to extend that hand of service and ensure that you help them. And I like what the missionaries there did, and also members of that other faith. They came in and joined our missionaries, and they ended up doing a good job, which is actually very good. And this is how the Lord will want us to be. Okay? I am so much grateful for what I've seen today, and I thank God that I'm a member of this church. And I always thank Him that every day when I wake up, I still find myself a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because it is by His grace that we are members of this church. It is by His grace. Yeah, and once we still find ourselves as members, we should take it with a lot of humility, knowing that it is the grace of God that is keeping us here, and that we should do His will every time we see somebody is actually in need of our services. Otherwise, thank you very much. God bless you, and I'm looking forward to see you again next time. Ciao.